I may have slept on the video for this a little too long, but I've had it a few months now and just got word that the Magic X Mini 028, a bit of a mouthful of a name, is getting discontinued, sadly. That's because of our favorite issue in the world right now, RAM prices. Because this, where do I begin? First of all, let's talk about its size. Look how tiny and portable this little guy is. It is a 2.8-inch screen, but it still features dual sticks and also an all-winner A133P processor, which we've seen before in the likes of like the Brick Hammer or the TrimUI Brick in general, and then the TrimUI Smart Pro. Good little chipset, goes up to 1.8 gigahertz, does a good job of emulation. Up to, it can kind of plow through PlayStation, and it can do a bit of N64 and Dreamcast pretty well. Some of the harder hitting games in that category do have some stutters, but generally most things seem to be somewhat playable, especially if you tinker with a little bit of the settings. But anyway, all that on a little mini handheld is pretty incredible, and we never really see dual sticks on such a compact device like this. And usually an issue is, if you're going to make it like super pocketable, sticks usually jut out too much, but they manage to recess these enough so that they are pretty much flush and level with the buttons sticking out. So they don't stick out more than the buttons do. So that doesn't create any real issues of it snagging on anything in your pocket. And it's so small that it's kind of hard to make the excuse that you can't carry with it. So it's very comfortable. It has inline buttons up top here, and the R2 and L2 buttons slope up a little bit, so you can find them pretty easily compared to, the R1 and L1 buttons, which are shouldered there. So they do a good job of implementing those. All the buttons feel, pretty good. None of them are really stiff. They're a little bit on the mushy side, so if you prefer like that clicky tactile feel, they don't really have that, but some people don't really care about that. That's not so bad. D-pad is a little mushier than I like, but it's totally fine and serviceable for how cheap this thing was going for. When I bought this a few months ago, it was only $38. Now, keep in mind that is for a device with all the buttons, the sticks, and these are some of my favorite sticks. A lot of people love these sticks. You've also seen them on the likes of the Mangmi, which is a very similar name, almost suspiciously similar. But the Mangmi Pocket Air Mini or whatever that one is, they're all starting to sound the same. But yeah, the cheap Mangmi device has the same style sticks, and we're starting to see them a little bit more. But they're very, very comfortable. They're very good for those mini style sticks. They're much better than the ones that are on the TrimUI Smart Pro and like the typical Switch style sticks that we're kind of used to. They're very nice, and it's all in this like very plasticky chassis that is not going to win any awards, but it feels kind of like a toy, but in a good kind of way. Not like it's super cheap, but it's meant to be played with. And you feel like you could probably drop this and it won't shatter into a million pieces. It's kind of nice. And of course up top we got the two Type-C ports. I don't know why so many devices have two Type-C ports. I guess that's cheaper somehow than doing like one good Type-C. So one of this is for charging, it's for DC power, and the other one is for like connecting to a computer. It's the OTG port. But that one doesn't support power. And typically we're used to, a device that just has the one Type-C port and it can handle everything. But I guess that's more expensive for some reason. So, we see that there. I don't understand the reasoning behind that, but that is the case. It also came with a few different colors that you could get. They had like this really neat ice blue and one that was like this really like, it wasn't quite indigo blue, but it was like this very like deep transparent blue that was also very nice. But I ended up going with the black one. Yeah, nice little device. The interesting thing is it comes with Android, which opens up a few things to make it more customizable, where you could sideload APKs. It doesn't come with the Play Store, don't get that confused, but it does have like the Aurora Store, and I mean you could put other app stores on there too. It's just, yeah, it's a little difficult to navigate without having a touchscreen, which is like one of the biggest drawbacks in using this. That's like kind of the only pain point. is that when you're trying to do that stuff or trying to navigate menus, no touchscreen can be a little bit of a hindrance. But the custom launcher that they have on here is a variation of the Daijisho launcher. It's called Dawn Launcher. And the tweaks that they made, I feel, were made to make navigating it a little easier. I think they streamlined a few things to make, not having a touchscreen not as poor of an experience. But I also believe that, if I'm not mistaken, there might be a version of Gamma OS that works on here, which would probably improve a good bit of things. And I'm going to look into that, but I want to kind of go through it and use it as is for the first while of having it, because Daijisho is sometimes just the simplest type of launcher you can put onto a device that kind of makes the ease of use just kind of nicer. So yeah, pretty good. It also came preloaded with a whole bunch of games on a 64 gigabyte memory card. Now let's go back to that price. It's kind of almost hard to get a 64 gig memory card at the price of $38 as is. And it's not like one of the terrible cards. It's a Kioxia card, which Kioxia makes nice stuff. Whenever I've had a higher quality device shipped with a 64 gig card, it almost always comes with Kioxia cards, and they've not once failed on me yet. I'm sure I'm going to get some comment about Kioxia failing on them somewhere, but all the devices I've had that come with them have been fine. So that's kind of nice. So not only do you get that 64 gig card, you also have 2 gigs of RAM, which is also becoming more of a rarity. And that's kind of the reason why financially it just doesn't make sense to make this device anymore for the prices they've been going for. So 2 gigs of RAM, an all-winner A133P, and a nice little screen. It's a 640 by 480 panel. That's kind of been one of my biggest drawbacks, honestly, though. 2.8-inch screens are just a little squinty for my liking. It's not that bad. It's probably fine, but I'm used to, I don't know, there's, for some reason, the pixel density on the TrimUI brick is at a 3.2-inch screen, so it's like half an inch bigger. This feels like the correct, micro mini screen size, and it's a lot more comfortable. So I tend to use this as my on the go screen as opposed to this, even though this has kind of some slightly better, or I should say more versatile controls, having those twin sticks. But I do like the button experiences better on here. And if I'm playing a small screen game, a lot of the times I'm playing something that's like GBA or, something like that, doesn't really need the sticks. But, arguably, PlayStation and N64 experience and Dreamcast on here is better. And you can tell immediately. So playing games, even like Sonic Adventure 2, runs pretty decently. And having much finer control with those sticks, and they are pretty good. I didn't really notice any cardinal snapping or anything like that. You can have fine-tuned controls and move Sonic a whole lot easier. And that game was notorious for being kind of frustrating. A lot of early Sonic games were really frustrating with their controls, but it's made a whole lot better by having proper stick control instead of just relying on D-pads. So yeah, kind of a neat device. Now, it's if you were to get it now, let me show you a price real quick. Okay, so if we go over to Lit NXT, we can see now they usually charge a little bit extra because they do custom SD cards and stuff. But yeah, $90, $100, somewhere between there. That's gone up now since they stopped making these. That they're going to become more and more rare, and you're going to expect to see that price climbing. I saw it on AliExpress for around the same, around $90. Let's see where else we can find it. I'm actually having a hard time finding it in general right now. Geek Buying, I don't really know much about this store. I think I've seen it before. $68. Most of the places I've checked seem to be out of it, especially when it used to be a normal price. But it was kind of common for the prices for it to go up and down a good bit. But now it's going to be probably more up than anything at this point, because now it's just kind of gone the way of the dodo, which is kind of sad. It's kind of the state of things. Things are getting more expensive that require RAM and storage. But we can see some of these companies pivoting and finding ways to kind of mitigate it to some degree. So yeah, it's kind of funny that like a few months ago I bought this for, just under $40, and now I've like tripled my investment, which goes to prove that this is a better investment than most stocks right now. Tripling my initial investment. No, that's kind of bad because I don't want to encourage scalpers. But yeah, I wasn't sure if I was going to hold on to it, but now I kind of feel required to. I hope you guys got one before they were gone, but it is sad. So gameplay wise, yeah, it was great at a lot of things. A little Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance, PlayStation. You can play through the whole library on there, which is pretty neat. It had some, and it even included a headphone jack, which was kind of nice. And being Android means that you can sideload a lot of apps that, typically you can't easily get on Linux. So if you had, some sort of rare app or a preferred app to use, like, you could even use like VLC as like your video player or all kinds of stuff. It gave you a lot of options, which was really neat to see in the micro handheld space, which was kind of uncommon. So I guess what we'll talk about next is what happens next. So Magic X didn't want to leave the void completely empty, so they started talking about their next devices. So pretty much in the same breath of saying they were canceling this, they brought up a new device that they are kind of asking the community how they feel about it. And it would answer one of the questions I've had. I was even going to make a video about this, about how there's no real PSP like replacement, or like no true fill-in for the PSP. Like, we've had some options. Like, this was like, at least form factor wise, the closest, because it's a decently small device. This was for a while the smallest 16:9 aspect ratio screen we had, at 4.9 inches. I think 4.95, basically 5-inch screen. And for those who remember, the PSP was 4 inches. Now, that is close, but if you've ever seen a PSP side by side with it, the PSP truly was a more compact than most people remember. It was really a portable device that was very pocketable. And it is pocketable, but it will take up all the space of your pocket and like kind of still be bulky a bit. So, having a 4-inch device, like, now if you can imagine, this is a 4x3-inch screen, but if you can imagine it just going just a little bit further out this way, we'd have an incredibly portable little device. So they've proposed a replacement for this with a Magic X Mini 040, or whatever they're going to call it. So it would be a 4-inch, widescreen device, which would be really exciting to do. So that is on the horizon, potentially. But then I just saw this article from our friends over at Retro Handhelds GG. Swap over to their screen. Thanks for sharing, guys. The Magic X Mini Dream is official, but it raises plenty of questions. So basically, they're also talking about a new sort of replacement to this, I guess. It might still be a 4:3 screen. There's not a lot of information about it, but they're talking about a 3.3-inch OLED display. Now, an OLED display on, a little device like this, that hasn't really been done. I think the only ones who did OLED on the smallest device was the guys over at Retroid Pocket. The Retroid Pocket Mini was an OLED screen that was very small. And yeah, we haven't really seen much else. And I don't know if I've ever seen like a color OLED screen that small before. So that could be really interesting. It definitely lands a little further into the premium category that these guys haven't quite done yet. So the Mini Dream is kind of an interesting thought. I like the key highlights here. There's a 3.3-inch OLED, full glass front cover, which I don't like. I really want people to stop doing that because it gets smudgy and gross, especially on like a handheld that's so small that you're going to be touching the entirety of it all the time. Available in Linux and Android versions, and the price, I like this part, the 80 to 180. Like, okay, that's kind of a massive price difference. I don't know if that's because they're going to have like different like SKUs of it, or if they're including different things about like storage capacity that you could choose between. It's kind of interesting, and I know the Retroid Handhelds GG guys over there have been complaining about these like long dragged out like announcement cycles where they just try to hype it up for a while before they actually commit. And it's kind of hard to tell exactly why. It's hard to see if they're just trying to, you know, put out the feelers and see how much, you know, feedback they get, and then make changes and decisions accordingly. But that could be it. Or, you know, they have got nothing else to say and they don't want people to forget about it, and they want people to keep talking about it until it's out. There's a lot of reasons to do that, but it does get a little tiring. But it gets more tiring for the people who have to like cover it. So they're just like, oh, an announcement finally. Oh, and it's nothing. So I guess I've got nothing to talk about. So it might be a little selfish to, you know, be that concerned about it, but I do get it. It's kind of like, just out with it already. Just tell us what it is so then we can move on with our lives. But, you know, first world problems. It's just interesting. But yeah, kind of sad to see this go. It does happen, especially the life cycle of most of these handhelds. Most of them only are out for a little while before they're, you know, discontinued. We don't really see that much in other devices or handhelds, you know, like, or game consoles, for example. It's like the PS5 has been kicking since 2020. And then in 2020, we got like what? Like the Retroid Pocket 2? That's been long dead. I had one of those, actually. It was very, very early stages. But, you know, that's why it's like, if you see one of these things that you like and, you know, you're not sure if you should wait or not, well, they'll only be on the shelves for a little while, so get them while you can, I guess. So what was originally going to be some sort of review just kind of turned into a retrospective. That's also, I guess that's also telling of how this community works with these devices, that they have like a 1-year shelf life, it seems sometimes. And you wait too long, and then now you're talking about it dying instead of, you know, if someone should go out and buy it or not, which, I don't know. You don't have to buy all of these. Just go over which ones you find. It's only the, like, unwell people like me who are obsessed with the little details of these that ends up turning it into a collection. But, you know, there's worse vices to have. Well, anyway, were you on the fence about getting one and now it's too late for you? Or did you already get one, and how'd you feel about it? Are you excited for what Magic X releases next? You know what to do in the comments. We'll talk about it. And then if anyone says anything interesting, maybe I'll make a video about that.